We are at AvaGro Tissue Culture Lab, which is the first commercial lab of this kind in Namibia.
Tissue culture is a wonderful process where you use a bit of tissue and you take it from plants and you multiply it and clone it. And you eventually form disease-free plants that the farmers can use to plant in their fields. It can be anything from horticultural crops, such as date palms and bananas, to fruits like apples and pears, to berries, and also floriculture plants as well, and trees. So any plants can really be tissue cultured.
The Tissue Culture Lab is really at the source of the integration of our three pillars: healthcare, agriculture and education, because we grow food as medicine but also are able to grow plant-based medicine through our Tissue Culture Lab. And a very strong focus has been on the education part, so the tech transfer from eSwatini to Namibia. We see several benefits in the setting up of a Tissue Culture Lab here. One of the benefits are the social impact that the Tissue Culture Lab has, because we are able to produce staple foods and hence do our part in food security for Namibia and for the region.
In a tissue culture lab, it's very important that one remains clean, and hygiene is very, very important because you want to try and reduce the amount of contamination in your plants, and they normally come from fungi and bacteria. So you need certain instruments that will help you to be able to do that. And here in Namibia, they have installed a positive pressure unit. So it filtrates all the air. And we also have microscopes that we use that will help us to, for instance, identify the contaminants that could be potentially hazardous to us. It's also very important that we scrub down, and we use chemicals for that to be able to have hygienic conditions in the laboratory.
The first step in the tissue culture laboratory is the selection of the plant material that you want to propagate. So what happens is that we go to the field, to the plantation, we take a sucker from the mother plant, or we take any plant material from the mother plant.
You will select for instance, high yield, or in a banana plant, for instance, it will be a very big bunch. You're looking at sturdy stems, you're looking at plants that are not diseased, and then you will select from that. Those then are brought into the laboratory, and then we start with the initiation phase. Initiation really is sterilizing your plant and freeing it from bacteria and fungi.
Second step in the tissue culture laboratory is media preparation. That's when we prepare the medium into where the plant material will be cultured, and we enhance the media with plant growth regulators in order to supplement the growing medium with nutrients that the plant needs in order to grow.
In your media preparation room, you prepare all your growth media, and that is mainly from micronutrients, macronutrients, and you mix it up in agar, or it's like a jelly that you would use, and then the plants will grow in that media. I call it a recipe. And every single plant has a different recipe. A certain plant will respond better to certain recipes that is used.
After disinfecting and sterilizing the plant material, we transfer the plant material into the growing medium under a sterile environment. So that is done under a laminar flow bench.
And you then multiply the plants up. And once they have been multiplied, you then take them into your growth room. And it is in your growth room that it's all temperature controlled, and there's also positive pressure in the growth room, and it grows very uniformly.
The plant material in the nutrient media undergoes cell division, producing new shoots. That's how the multiplication will take place. The next moment they are being multiplied, that's how we cut shoots separately from each other, and then from one plant we can get 2 more after a month, and then after another month we get 4 from one, and that's how the multiplication rate increases.
And from there, you would then take it to a hardening process. It will go through into the greenhouse, and it will be grown and hardened in seedling trays under shade cloth, and from there it will then go to the farmer.
We are very dependent on imports, in particular fruits with over 97%, and we really want to reverse that dynamic and bring Namibia back on the stand to become a net exporter of fruit. And Tissue Culture Lab is really at the root of that and the basis for that growth.
So in the laboratory, when you start, you only have a few cultures and you start with 1 or 2 plants. But then those 2 plants will then eventually multiply up to about 1,000 plants within 8 months. And so if you start with many initiations, you then have quite a few plants in your production. So we're ultimately really hoping to have a production of about 400,000 to fill the growth rooms.
The economic benefit of our lab is job creation, of course, also to create more value through our cutting-edge technology in the agricultural sector in Namibia. The farmers who can buy our plant material also benefit from very strong and healthy plants that have selected according to specifications that will allow them to harvest more, to have higher yields, and also increase their personal income through production. Another benefit of our tissue culture lab is the environmental impact that we can have. Climate change is a threat all over the world, but in particular in Southern Africa we experience droughts. Plants that are perhaps endangered through climate change, we will be able to protect and multiply in our lab before they go extinct. We're in the process of applying to become a research facility, and we're already working very closely with UNAM and NUST on cutting-edge research. We want to open our doors really for research to come alive, and students can write their thesis with us, ask their research questions, and have a safe space to do their practicals before they go into the world and bring their knowledge to life.
I did a training in precision desert agriculture in 2020, where I was trained in mushroom production and vegetable production. After the training, I wrote to the management of AvaGro seeking for a job. And interestingly, she replied to me that she has a very interesting project that she wants me to lead, which is a tissue culture project. So that's how I ended up at AvaGro.
And Frida, our tissue culture lab supervisor, went to Swaziland and actually trained under Michelle and saw which technology we can bring to Namibia into our lab. And we've decided to go forward with banana production, actually for food security in the country.
At Pasture Valley, we also have a similar tissue culture lab, but this is the first designed one, tailored to be a tissue culture laboratory, which I'm really excited about. And essentially, the initial buildings were bistro, and so I had to design around that, and it's turned out to be a wonderful facility, and I'm really proud that AvaGro have made it what it is.
What has been really exciting over the last year is that we have been able to start to cross-pollinate between our projects, between the countries that we are operating in. So, for example, the Tissue Culture Lab will allow us to grow healthy plant materials for banana production. And in Zimbabwe, we have a beneficial climate to grow these bananas. So really, there is a knowledge sharing happening between team members. We can cross-pollinate climates and varieties and really optimize our production due to that interaction.